Okay, this is the page that you have. I will zoom in. Okay. Okay. Now see, disaster management is something which is not that much with architecture, but even far broader domain. So in the last class, we were discussing about the different definitions of disaster management and the salient features of those. So if you can address those salient features, those attaining those salient features is actually the objective of the disaster management. So disasters was identified, types of disasters were identified. Now how to address them? How to address those the salient features of those disaster? That's the objective of disaster. Now these are all simple sentences. We will read those out, and once I read and you also read with me in the on the screen itself, it would be easier for you. Just like the previous sections that we have discussed, it would be similar. So the objective of disaster management are listed in the following. There are 10 objectives. Now in this particular situations, they try to divide the total responsibility or the total objectives or the total principles into some good numbers. Okay, say 10, 14, 15, 5, so that later they can say, do you know the 5-point objective of disaster management, or do you know the 10-point objective of the disaster management? Or somewhere you will see that two of the objectives which are close by are merged together. So instead of 10 objectives, you have 5. So that it is in this particular subject, there are so many points. They're not unique. They're very close to each other. And then there are so much of points, so many, this subject has so many points to remember. It always feels like you're building bylaw subjects and all, where you have to read it point wise. So many points to remember, but not like that. It is generalized. They divide into points for better understanding only. So here it says the first objective of disaster management. Okay, we have gone a step ahead of disaster and now we are into management. So the object, if we are clear about the objectives of the disaster management and the principles means how to achieve those objectives, how those objectives can be achieved. Then only we can summarize, depending on for different disasters, which of the objective has to be established by following which all principles, that is a solution for that particular disaster. So the structure should be clear that there is a disaster. To manage that, you have certain objectives to achieve by following certain principles. So this whole procedure is disaster management. So we are in a chapter, we are in the last phase of the first uh, module of our syllabus. If you remember our syllabus, do you have the copy of the syllabus with you all? Do you all have the copy of the syllabus of disaster management with you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in that, the first module was all about overviews, definitions, uh, types of disasters, the reasons, the preventive measures of the disasters and all. The second was disaster management cycle, which is a well-known thing, which is discussed at many places. So this chapter, this intermediate chapter, which I have coined as objectives and principles of disaster management, not myself. If you can see here also on top, it is written objectives and principles of disaster management. So it's something like you want to design a house and you have understood already the problems that you have to address by designing a house, but you don't know that by designing which objective or what need of the users you are going to address and what are the principles of design. So here just relate that this particular subject with designing a house. You are designing a house for a particular family. You can say that the house is in a disaster prone area, no harm in that, but just imagine that you have to design a residence for a particular family. The design should address the requirement and it should take care of the problems that the people were facing. They didn't had a roof on top, they didn't had the social life, they don't have the privacy. You are solving it. So the objective is to solve those problems, and the principle of doing it is by giving architectural solution, environmental solution, economic solution, and whatnot. So those two topics we will be discussing today. So in the objective status, again, let's come up. It creates necessary organizational structure for dealing with disasters. So while doing disaster management, we have to create the organizational structures who will be expert, or which organization will be expert in dealing with disasters. So it is not like a person who is a good cook can be taken into the objective of disaster management. He may be, but a specialized organizational structure needs to be designed for dealing with disasters only. And we have a lot of them. Next is undertake preventive measures like hazard mapping, risk analysis, and awareness among local community. Okay, so you can keep on underlining that undertake preventive measures like hazard mapping. So underline hazard mapping, risk analysis, and awareness. The third one is create plans and strategies. So before the disaster strikes, you have to have some, or say you have to have more than one plans or strategy to deal with it. Now the degree of dealing is not discussed in here, but the objective is you should have necessary plans beforehand. That can come from previous examples, that can come from scientific studies, that can come from scientific readings of literatures, or can come with community discussions, can come from anywhere. But you need to have or keep on creating plans and strategies to deal with the disasters first. The fourth is ensure control over development activities. You can underline that. Ensure control over development activities. That means, hence we talk about sustainable development. Okay. So if the structures are not sustainable, in case there is a disaster, then it will increase the risk. So if you are designing sustainably, you are reducing the risk. So there should be some sort of, like, your design has to be controlled by somebody. For example, you have to follow the building bylaws, the regulations, necessary regulations has to be followed. So those are the development control guidelines which should be ensured. The fifth is conducting training program. So to whom do you need to train? Particular special task force, so the team of national disaster management, a team of police personnel, team of firefighting personnel, as well as the local community personnel maybe. So whoever are required to be trained, you need to conduct regular training programs. Now these programs are generally arranged in a hierarchical order. Okay. So you will train 2 persons, those 2 persons will train another 5 persons, those 5 persons will, each of them will train another 10% in their locality. So 1 person from every family will come and listen to that, and they will go home and then inform their household. So in that way it gets propagated. This training programs gets propagated. Next is sixth, design and put in place mechanisms for communication and coordination. So this means that suppose you have a problem in Paradip, which is a coastal town of Odisha. But during a cyclonic hazard, you are not able to reach that particular district. Paradip कौन से district में है वैसे? Anyone? People from Balasore? In which district?
Jagatsinghpur, sir. Jagatsinghpur.
Jagatsinghpur. Yes. So Jagatsinghpur's headquarter is not that well connected because it is also under a disaster prone area. So how will people in Bhubaneswar, the headquarter, the meteorological center, be knowing about it? So they have a sub-meteorological center in Balasore, in the town of Balasore, which is easily accessible, or they have one more in Cuttack, from where again they can access this Paradip. The Jagatsinghpur district can be accessed. So now they have different scaled mechanism to communicate and coordinate. So there is a level where computational things happens. After that, there is a radio level interaction that happens. Even closer to that, signals and signage level of coordination keeps on happening. Okay, so those has to be designed properly and put into place. It should not be in your room inside your lab. It should be in exact location. The communication and coordination system, that the instruction that has to be given to the necessary people who are going to go to the fisherman's village in Paradip and stop them from going to the sea for some time. Now, how are you going to? Will the CM be sending his person directly to Paradip? No. That is the same way where CM is directing whom? The district magistrate and the district collectors. The district collectors are doing what? They are informing the municipality chairman, the municipal corporation chairman, the councillors. He is informing the sarpanch of the gram panchayat. He is informing the SP, superintendent of police of different jurisdictions. So it gets communicated in different stages, and ultimately it is a comprehensive coordination, because that is one of the important objectives of disaster management. That is how you can manage. Next is seek help and support from all agencies like NGOs and other departments, maybe national, maybe international. So Africa is constantly happily supporting India to prevent the to invent, sorry, not prevent, to invent the vaccine of corona, COVID-19. There are a lot of international agencies are helping up. They are supporting up. They are supporting with a lot of things. They don't have the infrastructure, but they have manpower. They have like subjects on whom you can go and test this vaccine. So similarly, but you need to know all the different agencies. You should not be saying कि नहीं पिछले बार इसके साथ झगड़ा हो गया था इनसे नहीं पूछूंगा इस बार के disaster के time पे. You should not be doing that. You should at least seek help from all possible agencies. For example, when there was this funny, the chief minister not only asked the local people, he asked the prime minister to visit here and ask for help. He asked other agencies, other departments, other NGOs who could have helped, the industrialists who could have helped in this particular cause of disaster management. So whoever should be sought a help from, they should be asked to help in case of a disaster management. Okay. The 8th point says ensure readiness of all mechanism at the time of need by conducting periodic review. Now, this is very critical because it is something like, say, I know all of you use these felt pens for pigment paints, isographs and all in your design class and in your graphics class, in different classes. By mistake, you have left all those in your hostel. So what will happen? What will happen to them when you come back?
It won't be working.
It won't be working. Similarly, our plotter has stopped working because the ink has dried because of non-usage. So suppose we have the infrastructure, but it is not in a running condition. It is not periodically monitored, tested and checked. Okay. Then what will happen? यही होगा कि गोडाउन से बंदूक उठा के BSF चले चाइना के साथ युद्ध करने के लिए, वहां पे जाके देख रहे बंदूक जाम हो गया. That's why they keep on conducting routine periodic maintenance. These firing squads and all at these firing shelters, through these NCCs, through these local policemen, they all do these practices so that the equipments, the mechanism, everything is ready. Now, it is better to do all this periodic maintenance in the training center itself. So if during the training everybody is trained on the equipment, they know from wherever an equipment will come, they will be able to use that. Okay. And as I have said that the strategies are different depending on the type of disaster, but the equipments has to be as generic as possible, because there may be thousands and thousands of training center for the same kind of disaster across the different cities of different countries of the same country. So for example, say the people, those who were trained for national disaster relief, were sent in Odisha, were sent to West Bengal to fight the after effect of Amphan. So if there the equipments are different, If Bengal says, nahi, I don't believe in the equipment of Odisha, we will have our own equipment. Now, who will ply those in case of disaster? So the equipments and remedies has to be as generic, that means as common as possible, so that even the community, local lights, they come, they understand and they read it. Okay, I will give you a very funny examples maybe. The instructions that are written on the outer surface of an aeroplane and the instructions written in the inner surface for the crew member to read are completely different in the difficulty in their reading. Inside mostly signages, symbolages, color, light and all. Outside those are everything clearly written. Cut here in case of emergency. Where to cut, which are the soft corners, or where to lay the wind tub or air basket from where people can come out and slide, or where to put the staircases in case you have a connectivity, because outside people are laymen, they are not technically trained. But if those instructions are not written in a very common language easily understood by everyone, then what will happen? Calicut में जो हुआ है, the disaster of flight overshooting the runway, so localites easily came up, they know what to do just by reading things and all, or by previous experience, and they did the necessary things before the trained personnel arrived. That saved a lot of life. Okay, the ninth one is document experiences of disaster management and evaluate for strengths and weaknesses. So every time a disaster has been managed, experience of lot of people. So in today's day, if you open the Discovery Channel or National Geographic, you will hear about experience of different tier of people, starting from chief minister to a person who has lost his near and dear ones in cyclones, in earthquakes, all recorded, all documented, so that, like, luckily the people in the coastal West Bengal have gone through those documentaries shown in newses. So when they heard of a similar kind of cyclone, they were to some extent ready to face that. They learned it from where? They learned it from Odisha. They learned it from Rameshwaram and Dhanushkoti of Tamil Nadu. They learned it from Visakhapatnam of Andhra Pradesh. But they learned it because the experiences of different managers, the disaster managers, has been documented well. And each and every step that was taken during this management, what were the strengths and weaknesses, those were all noted. Okay. And the last one is train people at various levels to use the modern technological tools. Just imagine that in 1720 AD, there was a pandemic. In 1820, there was a pandemic. In 1920, there is a pandemic. And in 2020, again, there is a pandemic. But today's day, everybody knows about the outcome. Everybody is able to control it because of usage of modern technological tools. We have aerial survey of monitoring. We have remote sensing data, which are particularly GPS based. Like you have something, you put it in your mobile's geographic positioning system helps in the geographic information system or geological information system. So information distribution or management of information using modern technological tool has also been incorporated as one of the major objective of disaster management. In this, I should also include like disasters that happens in underground mines. There should be proper technology to invent those. Otherwise, just give me a while. Let me search. मैं तो पहले भी ये पूछा हूँ. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I got his name. It's Sir Humphrey Davy who came up with the Davy's safety lamp in 1815 to detect the presence of methane in underground coal mines. But tell me today, will we be using Davy's safety lamp to generate a fire and then understand what actually happened? Definitely not. So we will be using much more modern technologies to detect it, whether it is being generated or not, or whether there is a chance of generation of any hazardous thing. If that is detected, then no point of waiting for the hazard to happen. We will take necessary action beforehand. Okay. So these are the objectives of disaster management. Next, since we have already discussed the difference between normal management, business management and disaster management, so the principles of management were given. I will happily be ignoring those and directly go to sorted out principles of disaster management. But you can have a look. You can have a look at the word, the division of work that always is done in your office. In any office, this division of work has to be done. Authorities and responsibilities for each and every individual position, and who are in charge, who are the authorized person for that section, and what are their responsibilities. So these are common for management. Let's directly come down to principles of disaster management. Okay. Now, if Vivek, I am sure that this page is, though it is a bit distorted, but it is legible.
Yes, sir. Left side one is okay, but right side one, it's okay.
Can you see my screen where the principles of disaster management is highlighted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this particular page, if you can see, I guess everybody else can see also. Maybe after a particular lag. So already this chapter is very precisely done to connect with whatever we have learned with the next module, which is disaster cycle. How to tackle the disasters, like actual disaster management mein hota kya hai. So this has been all points. So we can go through the points. But in this principle of disaster management, if you just coin the term that it has to be comprehensive, the principle has to be comprehensive, then it doesn't make any sense. So you see there are one-liner or two-liner explanation of what is meant by comprehensiveness in disaster management. So these are the principles that while like principles means you are thirsty and you need to drink water. So the objective is to feed water. Now the principles is how to feed water, or what are the generous ways of feeding the water. Is it through a straw, a glass or a bottle, or sipping or directly drinking, or somebody pouring the water in your open mouth? So those are the principles, whichever is applicable. So here the objectives are fine. We have just now covered the objectives. Now how those objectives, or in what best ways those objectives are broadly to be attained, those are the principles. Okay. So it has been found out that there are different categories, like different authorities in different countries have come up with different principles of disaster management. So first we will read the one which is practiced in USA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA of USA, and then we will go for another one which is particularly followed in the South African and the Australian countries. So in the southern hemisphere, to be general. Okay. So in the northern hemisphere, particularly in the USA, the principles of disaster management says it has to be comprehensive. So in comprehensive, it means consider and take into account all hazards, phases, stakeholders, impact relevant to disaster. So it is a wholesome approach of all aspects of a disaster. So if there is an earthquake, earthquake is the natural disaster, but it will bring in lot of other things with it. They may be equally hazardous. If earthquake brings in lava, it is hazardous. If earthquake brings in flood, it is hazardous. Then they are all different types. So you have to consider all the hazard that comes up with this. Electrical hazard ho, life mein koi aur bhi problem ho, everything. And in which phases this management has to be taken care of. Okay. So immediately after an earthquake, just wait in a safe location to see the aftershocks. Wait for the aftershocks. So that means in which phases they arrive, you have to wait for those phases and tackle individual phases accordingly. For tackling, you need all the stakeholders to be involved, and the impact, the total comprehensive impact of all the things relevant with the disaster has to be taken care of. You cannot say nahi, there has been a lot of flood, I will just pay the money to the necessary people and that should be all. No, that is not a comprehensive management of the impact. To be comprehensive means you have to see that during the flooding, how they are rescued, whether they are being provided with the rations or not, whether they are getting proper communication or not, how they are going to plan to rebuild their house after the flood water has receded. So these all comes together. Okay. So that everything, considering everything together, by everything I mean every nooks and corners relevant with the disaster has to be taken care of. That should be one of the principles. Next principle talks about progressiveness. Progressiveness means you have to anticipate the upcoming future disasters and take the necessary preventive measures beforehand. So here in progressiveness, we as an architect have a role to play. If we expect that in a coastal area we have this kind of problem, we have to plan beforehand by giving a planning solution that there should be zones like high tide lines. We have coastal regulation zoning for that only. Those are progressive method of disaster management, progressive principles of disaster management, where we know that in the extreme vulnerable areas there has to be minimum settlement or temporary structures which are required for a particular function. So you will see that in the sea beach, most of the eastern and the western coastal sea beach, no permanent structures are allowed. Permanent structures are allowed only after a particular distance only. And even if they are allowed, what necessary thing has to be put in those are also mentioned. Whether you can have a glass or a plastic facade, or you need to have proper concrete facade or brick facade and all, whether they should be having jali to allow the wind, or they should have a blank facade to fight against the wind and suffer the deterioration. These are aligned in the as a progressive principles of disaster management. So anticipate future disaster and take preventive and preparatory measures to build disaster resistant and disaster resilient community. So I am disaster proof or I am disaster resistant. That means disaster cannot do anything to me, or even if it do, even if disaster strike, it cannot cause any harm to me. This kind of measures has to be planned off. The third one is risk driven. So you need to assign a sense of priority in managing the disasters. Like when it is coming, for how long it is going to stay after, and accordingly what are going to be the hierarchical plan. So if at any point of time you feel there is a higher risk, for example, say just imagine that a cyclone is coming for 3 days in the ocean or the sea, and then on the third day at a particular point of time it is going to make its landfall, and after that it will dissipate but take a turn and pass through the land. So what we have to plan is, first our priority is the fishermen are at a risk, so first take them away, keep them away. Next is the coastal signages and all, inform them that on which particular date it is going to have a landfall in which area. So the core area and its surrounding area, what measures needs to be taken. सबके दुकान बंद होगा या किसी का दुकान बंद होगा, किसी सेंटर खुला रहेगा. Where are you going to plan for the emergency communication facilities? Which are the buildings identified as permanent shelter? जैसे Amartya was saying about the government hospitals and the government health centers or the government schools. They in planning domain only, beyond the architectural scope, in a planning domain only we assign that where should, in urban design level, where should be a school. It should be located in some not the geometric centroid, but in a communicable centroid or commutable centroid, from where we have the people of the nearby areas can come to a particular academic area or institutional area. So which are those places in the coastal area in case of a cyclone maybe? Which are the people which will immediately get affected and which are the people which will get affected after some days. So in that way, we try to assess the priorities of risk and accordingly allot our resources to manage. Is it clear? Have I made it clear? I don't know, in online class it is very difficult for me because I cannot understand whether I am making it more complicated or trying to make a complicated thing easier. I would. Okay, let me at least complete the American principles of disaster management, and then I will go for a discussion. Okay. The fourth one says that whatever effort you take in level of government as well as in a community level should be a unified, integrated principle. Everything should be integrated. That means what we are heading towards is there should be one person or one authority, or there should be a sense of leadership. Everything is integrated. That means somebody is expecting कि यहाँ पे तूफान आया है, there is a cyclone of say 100 kilometers per hour, so I will manage only with 100 kilometers per hour kind of cyclone, and बाकी के लोग कुछ भी करें, I should not be bothered with what other people are doing, like what people in the relief shelters are doing or rescue shelters are doing. I will only take care of the cyclone by announcing that घर में रहिए, permanent structure में रहिए, somebody living in temporary places, please come to the nearby locations and all. इतना ही काम करोगे. No, it cannot happen. All the persons involved in this management has to work integratedly. Now, if I can take a bad example of bad integrity is like, how are we fighting the corona? How are we fighting this epidemic, this pandemic? Everybody is taking individual decision. Okay, so it is something like suddenly a particular state government comes and say that in our country, in our state, there was huge positive cases, say in case of Maharashtra. So the Mumbai municipality came up with an idea that, okay, we will involve local people in detecting the COVID positive patient and then monitor them efficiently, provide rations to them, give medicines necessary, and take care of them. So for every patient that is detected with this kind of thing, from somewhere, from some insurance or somewhere from the government, these authorities, say the municipal authorities or the panchayat authorities or the temporary medical center authorities, they are getting approximately 1 to 1.5 lakh of rupees from the government. So what is happening is these people are like greedy tigers going for proving positive patients. Somebody with a sneezing, test को positive कर दो. Somebody with कुछ भी नहीं, tired, test को positive कर दो. They are even going for slightest test and turning out to be positive. So in some particular states, I'm sure many of you have heard, if you are finding at all time to go through the news, that lot of patients who were diagnosed with positive in a municipal level, municipal camps and testing, has been detected as corona negative when they got it tested from proper pathological centers or the hospitals. How come somebody who has been detected with this, everything vanishes in a while? So that is because this principle or disaster management is not being taken care of in an integrated fashion. There is no leadership in solving this problem. There are hundreds and hundreds of leaders in tackling this in tackling this disaster. So somewhere we are actually failing. The fifth says, okay, Vivek, you can keep on noting those corners which are not mentioned in here. Okay. Next point is a collaborative one.
Okay.
So in collaborative, you have to create and sustain broad and sincere relationships among individuals and organizations to encourage trust. So before going ahead, let me explain the points. Collaborative means we have to work hand in hand. We need to find out that which are the individuals or which are the organizations whom we can trust, whom we can encourage enough to help us, who can build this consensus and facilitate the communication. For example, during this क्या हुआ था ओडिशा में 2 साल पहले क्या हुआ था 1.5 years back साइक्लोन वगैरह कुछ हुआ था ना Fani, yes, Fani, I remember. So during the Fani, BSNL has been given a strict order that they can drop down their towers and networks, but keep the necessary landlines connected as much as possible so that a sense of communication is restored in between the important governments. They found out those trusts and the NGOs who can donate up for post-disaster resilience development. And then who are the other people whom we can approach in collaboratively coming up. For example, say the community cooks and cooks, the community kitchens. We should collaborate with them. Okay, we are seeing that lot of Sikh gurudwaras are coming up with their langars to be distributed in case of a mass epidemic that has happened or mass natural disaster. So they are opening themselves up. They do so. There are many other similar organizations or individuals or in governmental organizations or non-governmental organizations who work in collaboration. Now this collaboration has to be very comprehensive again. Like you cannot ask the policemen, the police personals in a disaster relief team to always work as doctors. So you need proper army doctors also and other doctors also in your team. So you need collaboration from all those people needed for that particular kind of disaster. Sixth is a coordinated. So collaborative or coordinated are same. Coordinated only talks about collaboration in synchronization. Synchronize activities of all relevant stakeholders. ठीक है? मतलब it is something like say in a flood prone area, some personals are going to the flooded villages and then they are bringing the people to a place which may be 2-3 story high where the top floor is still above the flood line, and there they are kept for a while and they are again going back. But let me give you an example. Let's imagine that the whole of town of city of Raurkela is flooded, and there are a lot of places like Jhirpani, Jagda, where there are a lot of low rising houses and all. So they have to be rescued. So the ground floor, at least I am definitely sure hall 8, hall 9, KMS ka ground floor are all flooded because they are in a low lying area. So what will happen now? Everybody will shift to the upper floor, and then there will be some boats which will bring those people stuck in those places to where? To some other places which are on a higher level. For example, say we are selecting the BMBT or LA building, which are at a higher location and you have a huge plaza. So helicopter will land over there. So helicopter will take you from there and put you where? Which is a higher area, Chend. Chend में जाके drop करे या यहाँ से उठा के they are taking you to Sundargarh. Now under this condition, if this is not coordinated, then what will happen? That LA and BM building will be jam packed, or your individual hostels ka top floor will be all packed. There will be no space. So all the functions has to be coordinated. किसके बाद क्या होना है? So they should be talking together. It is like you have organized lot of events. You know the importance of coordinated events. Everything has to be coordinated. So a person who is a coordinator, आज absent है ना coordinator, हाँ. So a person who is a good coordinator may not be working on individual aspect, but he should take the initiative of coordinating all other individual functions. Okay. So यहाँ पे the part which you cannot read is synchronize the activities of all relevant stakeholders to achieve a common purpose. The 7th is flexible. Here use creative and innovative approach in solving disaster challenges. So flexibility is not a freedom, but you should have certain degree of acceptability of flexibility. It means that during facing the challenges of a disaster while managing it, if you find that from the stereotype experience in your previous case, a new solution might be added. For example, say I was talking about Paradip, and Paradip is a cyclone prone area, and I know that Paradip also houses, the port of Paradip also houses lots of discarded ship and train containers. So in case of a cyclone, if we can remodify the container as a cyclone resistant structure, that flexibility should be accommodated while addressing the disaster. In which phase you will address those, that is a different question. But right now, because your disaster management principle has a degree of flexibility, you modified the design of those and then you used it as a cyclone resistant shelter rather than just dumping it in warehouses. Next, 8th, the professional. So professional. So it is definitely one of the important principles of project management. For example, say, uh, so when I am teaching you building material 1, and when I am teaching you say advanced building material or building material 2 or building material 3, slowly I am showing you a higher degree of professionalism. That means the knowledge base is increasing, my dependency on science is increasing, my research backup is increasing. That means I am becoming more professional towards achieving my objective. And you have to do that in disaster management also. It explains as value a science and knowledge based approach. उस टाइम में ड्यूरिंग ए डिजास्टर ये अंधभक्त के तरह मतलब एक मुट्ठी चावल बाहर फेंक दीजिए बारिश बंद हो जाएगा, या एक कौवे के बुला के उसको एक दिन खाना खिला दीजिए बादल टूट जाए, बादल हट जाएगा. No, not all this. Everything has to be professional approach. There is no space of blind faith in case of disaster management. I'm not saying blind faith. Sorry, I'm saying only blind faith. For example, say if in a small village we are denoting a town and we are designing a disaster resistant training center or disaster training center, and in that center we are putting, and that particular center we are keeping provision that in case of a disaster local people will come and flock in that particular place also. So it is a training center on one side, and it is also a disaster relief shelter in case of emergency. तो जब भी कभी disaster आ जाता है, first, even before we start thinking of our family members, we think of the one and only Lord or God or Uparwala, in whatever name you call those. So that's a social aspect. So sometimes along with this professional aspect, we also add the social aspects, and in these disaster relief shelters and all, or disaster management institute, we sometimes we can think of introducing a small deity or a small place of worship. Then it is another way of attracting localites जो अपना घर छोड़ के नहीं इसीलिए नहीं आना चाहता था बिकॉज उनके घर में देवता का प्रतिष्ठा किया गया है. And then whenever you feel problem, we always the first person we call is God. So that is a social aspect. But we are doing that without compromising the professional aspect. That means we have rescuers, we have trained professionals, we have disaster resistant structures, we have all communication systems available in a ready condition. When all these professional approaches are over, that means all educated knowledge based approaches are over, then only we should go for some other approaches, economic approaches, social approaches, everything comes later. Okay, so these are the standards of or the principles given by the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency of USA. So I will stop here today. We will continue on Thursday. But before I complete, before I end, let me out of here, stop the recording.